All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Awesome. Today, we're going deep, deep, deep into a film that's, well, it's pretty dark.
Oh yeah,
Seven.
classic.
A film that, well, kind of gets under your skin. You know what I mean?
Definitely stays with you.
So we're going to unpack everything. We'll hit the iconic characters, those thought-provoking themes, and of course, we're going to share our own thoughts along the way because, hey, that's what we do.
Gotta have those opinions.
Exactly. So let's jump right in. When you think about Seven, I mean, what's the first thing that grabs you?
For me, it's gotta be the setting. This unnamed city, always raining. It's almost like a character itself.
Yeah, it's like bleak and gritty. It
Yeah.
adds to the whole mood, right? You just know it's not going to be a lighthearted watch.
Not at all. It's oppressive, sets the tone, that feeling of unease, claustrophobia, it hangs over everything.
Oh, totally. And speaking of things that are heavy, let's talk about the detectives. Somerset and Mills. I mean, what a pairing.
One of the most memorable duos in cinema. The contrast between them.
Yeah, yeah. You've got Somerset, the veteran, played by Morgan Freeman. Incredible performance, by the way. He's just about ready to retire. Seen it all, done it all.
World weary, you could say. And then you throw Brad Pitt into the mix as Mills, young, idealistic, new to the city.
Yeah, he's like a ball of energy,
Yeah.
ready to prove himself. But man, is he in for a rude awakening.
Totally unprepared for what's about to hit him. I love how their personalities clash. It's like two completely different worldviews collide.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Somerset's cynicism, born from experience, and Mills with that bright-eyed idealism makes their partnership so compelling. They
Yeah.
challenge each other, rub off on each other.
Totally agree. And then, of course, you have the murders, each one meticulously planned, a gruesome representation of one of the seven deadly sins. It's like the killer's putting on a twisted art show.
Ugh, so disturbing. Remember the gluttony victim? Forced to eat himself to death.
Yeah, that one stays with you.
And it's not just about shock value. It makes you think about these sins, how they play out in society, and how someone could twist them to such horrific extremes.
Right. It's like a commentary on human nature.
Exactly. And the level of detail in these crimes, it speaks volumes about the killer, John Doe.
John Doe. Chilling, right?
Oh, absolutely. And let's be real, Kevin Spacey's performance is, well, it's just bone-chilling. He doesn't show up until later in the film, but man, his presence is felt.
Yeah, he embodies that role. Intelligent, calculating, completely convinced he's doing the right thing. Makes him all the more terrifying.
Yeah, and the film keeps him shrouded in mystery for a while. We see what he does, but we don't really understand him until he turns himself in.
What a twist.
Yeah.
Changes the whole game.
Right. It's like suddenly he's not just this shadowy figure, he's a participant. He's leading Somerset and Mills on this twisted game, and it forces them, and us as viewers, to confront some really uncomfortable moral questions.
You start to wonder, is he truly evil? Or is he a product of a world that's become so desensitized to sin that this is what it produces?
It's brilliant, really. It doesn't give you easy answers. It's like Seven is holding up a mirror to society. And that line between good and evil, it gets blurrier and blurrier as the film goes on.
Especially when Doe starts manipulating Mills, pushing him, testing him, exploiting his weaknesses. It's like he wants to break him.
It's almost like he wants Mills to become the embodiment of wrath to complete his sick plan.
It's masterful how the filmmakers build that tension. You can see Mills slipping, the darkness creeping in.
And the climax, oh man, it's one of the most shocking, emotionally draining endings I've ever seen. It's not just the violence of it, it's the sense of loss, this feeling that nobody wins.
Absolutely. And then there's Somerset. He was so ready to retire, to get away from all of this, but after everything he's seen, he makes a decision. He stays.
And that final line, quoting Hemingway, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part. It's heartbreaking, but it's hopeful too, right?
Yeah, it leaves you with this sense of, well, despair, of course, but also this flicker of resilience. Like, even in the face of such darkness, there's still a reason to keep going.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Seven is a film that really makes you think. It's disturbing, thought-provoking, and it stays with you long after the credits roll.
Definitely a film that deserves a deep dive. And we've only just scratched the surface. Something that I think gets overlooked when people talk about Seven is just how visually stunning it is.
Oh, for sure.
It's not just the darkness and the rain. I mean, those are definitely there.
Oh, yeah.
It's the cinematography. Darius Kanji. Amazing work.
Yeah, the way he uses light and shadow.
Exactly, like those slow camera movements.
It all adds to that feeling of unease, right?
No, absolutely. Think about those crime scenes, the way the camera just slowly pans across those gruesome details.
It's so disturbing, but I can't look away.
It's like unsettling, but also beautiful in a way.
It's like you said, you're confronted with the horror, but it's so artistic.
Yeah, and each detail, it's like Doe's work.
His signature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Meticulously chosen to represent the sin.
You can see those influences, like
Yeah.
Francis Bacon, Joel Peter Wiccan.
Oh, for sure. And the colors, or lack thereof.
Yeah, that's also muted, desaturated. Like we're seeing the film
Yeah.
through this layer of grime.
Exactly. It's a reflection of the city, of the characters.
Yeah.
You know, like everything is decaying, morally, visually.
It's heavy. And speaking of moral decay, that's like a major theme, right?
Yeah.
This city, it's not just a backdrop. It's like a reflection of what's going on inside the characters.
Right, like their internal struggles, their battle against the darkness. And you can even see it in their apartments.
Oh, yeah, the contrast.
Somerset's place, it's like sparse, almost sterile. He's trying to shut out the world.
Trying to keep the chaos at bay.
Exactly. And then you have Mills's apartment, bright, modern, hopeful. But even that starts to feel smaller as the film goes on.
Like the darkness is closing in no matter where you go.
Exactly. The city itself, it shapes them. And the performances, too. We've
Yeah.
talked about Freeman, Pitt, Spacey, obviously. But even the supporting cast, they're fantastic.
Right.
Gwyneth Paltrow as Tracy, Mills's wife,
She's so good.
brings this warmth, vulnerability, makes her fate even more tragic.
It's like she represents this tiny flicker of hope in all that darkness, trying to pull Mills back from the edge.
And that scene where she has lunch with Somerset looking for advice,
oh man, that one gets me every time.
you can see the fear in her eyes, the desperation. She's trying to understand what her husband is going through, this darkness he's facing.
And Somerset, with all his experience, he can't offer her any comfort. He knows what's coming.
Ugh, it's heartbreaking. Another performance I love is Arlie Ermey as the police captain.
Oh, yeah.
He's only in a few scenes, but he brings this gruff, world-weary authority.
Like he's seen it all, but he's still trying to hold on.
Yeah. And John C. McGinley as the SWAT team leader.
Yeah, he's great.
He represents that desensitization Somerset talks about. The way violence just becomes routine.
Yeah, chilling. And those glimpses into Doe's apartment before the raid.
The photos, the journals, it's like all of this meticulous planning.
Like you're getting a peek inside his mind.
It's terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. And the sound design, too.
Oh, yeah. The constant rain, the dripping water, it all just adds to the mood. You're never at ease.
And that's exactly what Fincher wants.
Totally. We keep mentioning Fincher and his direction. It's masterful.
Yeah.
He's so good at building tension.
And he's a visual storyteller.
That's
Like he uses close-ups all the time. You see every little detail in the actors' faces.
the fatigue in Somerset's eyes.
The desperation in
Yeah.
Mills.
And then that chilling calmness in Doe's.
And the way he uses slow motion. It's not gratuitous.
Yeah.
It emphasizes the emotional impact.
That scene where Mills shoots Doe.
Oh, man.
The slow motion, the blood, Somerset's face. It's brutal.
It's not just the violence. It's the weight of the consequences.
Exactly. And the way Fincher uses darkness and light, it's so symbolic.
Yeah, the city is shrouded in darkness.
Representing evil.
And those few moments of light, they represent hope or maybe vulnerability and then loss.
Like that scene where Tracy tells Mills she's pregnant. It's bathed in warm light.
But then the darkness just swallows it up.
It's almost like Fincher is playing with us, giving us hope, and then snatching it away.
It's cruel. And the ending with Somerset and that Hemingway quote.
So powerful and ambiguous.
It's like, is there hope? Is it all just despair?
It's up to us to decide.
I think that's what makes Seven so great. It's a film that stays with you.
It challenges you, makes you think, and confront your own ideas about, well, everything.
Yeah, it's more than just a movie. It's an experience.
Absolutely.
We've talked a lot about the darkness, the despair in Seven, but it's a really well-made film. I mean, it could have been so easy to go over the top with it all.
Oh, yeah.
But it never feels exploitative, you know?
Totally agree. I think that comes down to Fincher's restraint. Like, we never actually see the violence happen.
That's true. We see the aftermath, but the act itself is always off-screen.
Right. It makes you use your imagination, which can be even more disturbing.
Oh, for sure. And it keeps the focus on the impact of those crimes, the psychological and emotional toll, not
When
just
it-
the spectacle of it.
Yeah, you're left grappling with the consequences, the guilt, the punishment, not just the violence itself.
And speaking of consequences, you really see how this case weighs on Somerset and Mills.
Oh, absolutely. It tests their beliefs, their partnership, it tests their humanity.
And Somerset, he tries to warn Mills, you know. He's seen this darkness before.
He's seen what it can do to a person.
Yeah. There's that scene, I think it's at the library, where he talks about how he used to try to make a difference. But the city, it just wore him down.
You can hear it in his voice, that weariness, the feeling of like resignation.
It's heartbreaking. And it makes Mills's journey all the more tragic. He starts out so idealistic, so full of hope. But the city, the case, Doe, it all just chips away at him.
Until there's nothing left but rage, despair.
It's almost like a Greek tragedy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like their fates are sealed from the beginning, and that sense of inevitability, it just hangs over the whole film.
Makes that ending even more impactful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though you know what's coming, that confrontation between Mills and Doe, it's still so devastating.
It's not just about the violence. It's about the betrayal, the manipulation.
The fact that Doe wins.
He achieves his goal, his twisted masterpiece.
It's brilliant, but it leaves you with so many questions. Was Mills justified? Is he any different from Doe now? What does it say about good and evil?
Yeah, those lines get blurred.
And Somerset, she decides to stay on the force. Is that hope, or is it?
Resignation.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost so much. He's seen such horrific things.
But he chooses to stay in that world.
I think it speaks to resilience. Like, even when it feels like there's nothing left to believe in, there's still that part of us that wants to fight, that wants to believe good can win.
I agree. It's a bleak message, but it's not entirely hopeless. It's like saying, even in the darkest times, keep going, keep searching.
Seven is a film that challenges us, disturbs us, and it sticks with you.
For a long time.
It's a masterpiece of suspense, a look at morality. It reminds us that the world is a complicated place, and sometimes it's a very dark place.
Absolutely. More than a movie, it's an experience, gets under your skin, makes you confront the darkness in yourself, in the world.
So well said. And that wraps up our deep dive into Seven. If you haven't seen it, we recommend it, but be warned, it's intense, and if you have seen it, let us know what you think. Head over to our social media. Let's discuss.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of film. See you next time.